Inside this video, I'm going to reveal the simple three-step process that we're using to turn insurance-based objections into motivated cash-in-hand patients who show up, buy, and buy again, even when they have the absolute best insurance. Now, you might be asking yourself, who is this guy? Well, I'm Jordan Mather. I'm known as the systems guy and have been for the last 5 years because I've consulted with some of the most profitable cash physical therapy brands in the entire world. And after scaling my partner Ben's practice from $200,000 a year to now over $2 million per year and analyzing more than 7,000 discovery calls, 5,000 evaluations that converted into more than 4,500 cash packages, and then analyzing all of that data combined with coaching more than 500 cash physical therapists and helping them install these sales systems into their practices, my partners and I have boiled cash physical therapy sales down to a science. Now, if you're a cash physical therapist or rehab or wellness professional, you've likely been asked, do you take my insurance? And it's likely been the bane of your existence and likely triggering a lot of anxiety that is costing you thousands of dollars each and every month because you don't know how to address it with confidence that passes that confidence into your prospect to get them to want to invest in your cash rates. Now, how much is your ignorance on how to overcome the insurance objection actually costing you? Because it is costing you. Now, I want you to rate the level of anxiety you get around handling in the insurance conversation and communicating your value to prospects out of 10, with 0 being you were 100% cool, calm, and collected when addressing insurance objections when prospects ask you about it. And you're great at converting people who really want to use their insurance into cash pay packages. Okay, that's a 0. Number 10 is you're 100% stressed, awkward, and definitely not collected. You are really struggling to convert phone calls into booked paid evaluations because people really want to use their insurance and you're just not confident in how you're able to address that. Now, whatever number you have, multiply that by 1,000. So if you scored yourself an 8, that means that at minimum, it is costing you $8,000 a month to not know how to handle the insurance objection. Okay, that is the absolute minimum that it could be costing you not knowing how to handle this. We call this ignorance tax. Okay, so if you're a 10 out of 10, you are absolutely terrified by this question, you have no idea what to say, at minimum, your ignorance tax is costing you $10,000 each and every month by not knowing how to address this. Now, the more leads you're generating, maybe you're already doing marketing, maybe you already have a team, maybe you're an insurance clinic that's transitioning to cash, the more people you have, the more you are paying in your ignorance tax, okay? And so I'm going to be teaching you 3 things that you can start doing today to eliminate your ignorance tax and get total strangers to be excited to pay cash, even if they have the absolute best insurance. Okay, now if you get value out of this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more marketing and sales training for cash physical therapists and rehab professionals. Now, my third tip, for those of you who stick around to the end, will be your new secret weapon in getting even the most skeptical prospects to never mention their insurance again. This has been an absolute game changer for us inside of our clinic. I know you won't want to miss it. Okay, so why do patients want to use their insurance to begin with? Okay, before we can really overcome it, we have to understand what people truly want. Okay, so people want to use their insurance for number 1, because they're paying high monthly premiums. That is incredibly logical. It makes a ton of sense why people would want to do that, right? And so they also want to use their insurance because they believe that it is actually cheaper, whereas we know for a fact that we're able to get people better much faster because we're able to personalize their treatment more. We're able to spend more one-on-one time with them. We're generally able to get them better much faster and get them more long-term results that is ultimately cheaper for them in the end. Okay, the third reason they want to use their insurance is because it is just normalized in their head and they're just ignorant of the other options that they have and what it could mean for their long-term health. Okay, so what do patients really want then? Okay, if that's why they want to use their insurance, what do patients truly want that we can position ourselves as having to help overcome this insurance objection? Well, number 1 is they want to save money. Number 2 is they want to have personalized care so that they can get fast results so that they can minimize the amount of time that they're dealing with this problem. The number 3 is they want it to be high quality care that's going to get them a long-term result so that they can continue to strive to achieve more goals and remain as active as long as humanly possible, right? And so we have to understand our prospects' true motivations if we ever want to be able to overcome insurance objections and get people excited about investing in cash pay services with us. At the end of the day, our prospects all have a choice. When choosing provider, prospects have to choose 2 out of 3 options, and it's our ethical obligation to guide them towards the best decision based on their unique circumstances. So they can choose 2 of the 3 between good, cheap, and fast. If they want good and cheap, it's not going to be fast. If they want good and fast, it's not going to be cheap. And if they want fast and cheap, it's not going to be good. And so we have to be able to explain this to our patients and help them understand where insurance-based clinics falls within these options and where we fall within those options. Now, when overcoming these insurance objections, it's important for us to focus on being consultative and not focusing on trying to sell or convince a prospect. All we're trying to do is ask them questions and help guide them towards making the best decision for themselves. Here's how we do that. Okay, step number 1 is to redirect focus when patients ask if we take their insurance towards actually consulting the prospect, towards pointing them in the best direction for themselves. So when patients bring up insurance at the very beginning of the discovery call, we don't want to answer their question until we understand the prospect and what is they're actually looking for and what their current circumstances are, and we've had a chance to build value around whatever that problem might be. Okay, so never start off your conversations when someone asks, do you take my insurance? Never say, no, but we do X, Y, and Z. We work with you for 60 minutes, one-on-one with the doctor of physical therapy. Anything that comes after but is immediately perceived as a negative. And so eliminate but from your vocabulary in any sales conversation ever. Okay, we want to remain confident and we want to show them that paying cash is absolutely normal and it's a really good thing for prospects because they get a much better result as a result of that. And so eliminate but and stop talking to your prospects like it's a bad thing that they would choose not to use their insurance because you started your cash practice because you know that you're able to get better outcomes, provide better service, and build better relationships for your patients as a result of being cash. And so start treating it like it's the positive that it actually is. Okay, so instead of saying no, but here's what you should say instead. Okay, and pay attention to the tonality in which I say this. Hey, that's a great question, Joe. Now, all of our patients have insurance. We can definitely discuss how that's going to fit into your care. However, before we even discuss that, I really want to make sure that we can even help you. And even if we can't, I'll give you my professional recommendation and possibly refer you to another clinic in town. Now, could you tell me what's going on just so I have more context? Okay. It's really important how we say this. It's more important what we say than how we say. 90% of communication is non-verbal. So our body language, if you're talking in person, or the voice inflections and the use of pauses in how you say what you're saying is far more important than what it is that you actually say. So make sure you remain confident and you express the same kind of tone and energy that you want your prospect to have going into the call. If you're defensive and reactive, your prospect is going to be defensive and reactive. So how you say this is really, really important. Okay. So now when you say this, when you handle these objections, the idea isn't to avoid the question. It's to acknowledge their question, but focus on consulting the prospect versus trying to sell them. This eliminates a lot of the sales pressure that your prospect is likely feeling while creating a collaborative environment where your prospect can feel sure that no matter how this call ends, they're going to get pointed in the right direction and they're going to move closer to achieving their actual goal. Now, 70% of the time when we handle an objection like this and push the conversation back towards the consultation that we want to give our patients to help push them in the right direction, 70% of the time, they're never bringing up their insurance again. When you're following our evaluation script, which you can go and find our videos on our YouTube sales playlist if you want. But when you follow our sales process, not 70% of the time, they don't bring up their insurance again and they book the evaluation, especially when this is coupled with step number 2. Now, at the end of discovery calls, you're going to discuss the investment, you're going to discuss super bills, but you're only going to do that after you've already qualified the prospect, you've identified their goals, and you've broken down your unique treatment approach with that patient. But the second most common place to get insurance objections is at the very end of your discovery call when you are communicating that investment. Now, rather than waiting for that and being reactive to it when it happens, we want to be proactive and actually prehab that objection before it happens, meaning we want to overcome the concerns and provide information before the patient is able to use that as an objection to getting on the schedule. Okay, so step number 2 is to reinforce our value and communicate the investment with our patients. After you finish qualifying the patient, making sure that you can actually help, explaining your unique process and getting buy-in from the prospect by asking them, once you outline it, does this sound like what you need to go through in order to get you back to bench press or competing in CrossFit or marathons? They're going to say yes, to which you should respond with, just curious, like, why do you feel like it's going to work? Then they're going to then articulate to you why it is that they should work with you in the beginning. So that's how you get buy-in from your prospects when you go over your unique process. So after you get buy-in from your prospects, then we want to start prehabbing the insurance objection before it can actually get brought up for us. So here's how we do it. Okay, listen, John, we're technically out of network with insurance because sadly, they don't let us work with clients the way that we found to be the most successful. Now, with that being said, all of our patients have insurance. What we do is provide you with a super bill or a special receipt that has all the information that you need to submit to your insurance. Okay, we provide you with an app that takes you less than a minute to submit these claims, and they'll take care of the rest. Typically, patients are reimbursed between 50 to 80% depending on the insurance and if they have met their deductible yet. Now, the initial evaluation is going to be $225, and then you and your physical therapist will sit down afterwards and discuss how long we're anticipating this is going to take. But like I said, this is something that he sees day in and day out, and typically patients in your situation only need 6 to 10 visits with us, and then they're back to doing whatever the prospect tells you that they're trying to get back to doing. Now, that's how physical therapy works with us, John. Now, you're going to wait for their response, evaluate their tonality and their energy to see if there's something that you need to pierce down in to gain deeper context into what their fears are so you have a chance to address them. But most of the time, they're going to say, okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay. Now, you might be saying, but what if they're insisting on using their insurance? What if they're really adamant at the beginning of the call where they don't allow you to deflect to the consultation, or at the very end when you talk about the investment and you tell them what your rates are and they're still really, really hesitant? Okay. The less experienced you are with overcoming this objection, the more resistance you're going to have. And in order to reduce that resistance, you need to practice your tonality, your voice inflections, and the pauses you put in between sentences that convey confidence and calmness in the recommendation that you're making. The more you practice those things, the less resistance you're going to have. But you may always run into some prospects who are pretty resistant to this because it's such a new concept to them. So how do we overcome that when people are insistent on using their insurance? Okay, when this happens, do not avoid it. Don't try to deflect the insurance objection again. Remain confident and normalize cash pay through your tonality and refocusing on what it is that your patients truly want, which is to get results and to save money, which you are uniquely equipped to be able to help them do within your cash practice. So this third tip that I'm about to share with you skyrocketed our phone to evaluation booking rate, as well as our package conversion rates across all of our clinicians when we started doing this. Okay, this is a screenshot from all of the data from the last several weeks that our physical therapists have gone through, showing that they're converting at or above 90% across the board because prospects are showing up having already decided that they want to pay cash and that they want to buy a package because of how we're overcoming the insurance objection and how we're communicating our value. Now, this is at scale across the board over hundreds of different evaluations. When we taught this same process to one of our clients, they also had all of their PTs starting to convert at above 90% because prospects were showing up already fully bought in to paying cash and to investing into a cash package because of how we're framing the package and framing and communicating our services to our prospects here. Okay, so let's dive into it. Okay, once we've taught this to all of our prospects, they started converting packages like crazy because they no longer had prospects who were showing up skeptical of whether or not they wanted to move forward or not. They weren't showing up deciding that they just wanted information because we're able to very easily communicate why it is that we're different from other people. Okay, let's talk about how they do it. Step number 3 is what we call checking their boxes because every prospect we talk to has boxes they need to check, even if they haven't fully thought it through. Okay, when we're forced to discuss insurance, either at the beginning or at the end of a discovery call, never get defensive. Okay, it makes prospects perceive that there is something that they should also be defensive about, which is going to push them to really resist what it is you're trying to say. They're going to feel like there's some sort of disconnect that you're not telling them, and they're going to be really resistant to actually getting on the schedule. So when you are addressing this, Again, anticipate that it's going to happen. Don't act like you're surprised that this happened. Okay, people are going to ask when this is such a new thing. So stay positive, have an upbeat tonality, and make your prospects feel safe. Remember, cash services are in most people's best interest. Act like it. Okay, you've developed a world-class service and you are a great clinician and you can absolutely transform this person's life. Stay calm and confident in your abilities to do that, and don't allow your lack of skills as a salesperson to start to sway the conversation where you start getting defensive. Okay, don't put on your sales hat, keep on your clinician hat, because you know what you do is great. You know you can help people. Stay in that consultative mindset where you know you are strongest and the most confident. Don't worry about putting on your sales hat, just stay calm. Okay, keep calm, confident, and continue to have a consultative approach. Answers your prospects' questions, but keeps the conversation going. Okay, say something like this instead. Okay, now listen, John, it sounds like insurance is pretty important to you, and I get that. But do you mind if I ask, even if I just recommend you in another direction, even if that's not with us, what are 2 more things that are the most important to you when choosing a physical therapist? Now wait for a response. Once we get a response, basically what we're looking for is our prospects to mention quality of care, speed of recovery, long-term fixes, etc., so that we can explain how working with us is going to check off more of their boxes than going in-network and even be cheaper for them in the long run. Okay, we want them to see that working with insurance might check that one box, but working with us, they're going to get way more of what they actually want. So reply with something like this once we get an answer. So listen, John, I mean, it looks like we check the other 2 boxes for you, but frankly, you're not going to find someone who's going to check all 3 of these. As for the one box that we don't check, the insurance one, it's very simple to get insurance involved with an out-of-network self-claim. Like I said earlier, we left traditional practices to offer a quality of care and results that you simply won't find at an in-network clinic. Now, with that being said, and throwing in there that we have a satisfaction guarantee, do you think it makes sense for you to just schedule a call with us so that I can prove to you everything that I'm talking about? Okay, so from here, something that we can ask that really has driven the point home for a lot of people is asking another question in there when necessary. Now, what's more important to you, John? Checking the insurance box or having all these other boxes checked? And now it's very clear and evident your value versus an in-network clinic's value. And they might realize that it's like, okay, well, in the long run, this could actually be cheaper, but I'm also going to get a faster result that's going to last longer, which is going to result in it being cheaper. And so this is how we've deflected and overcome the sales objection for the last several months, which is resulted in a significantly increased eval to close percentage, as well as phone call to evaluation booking percentage. So use this, follow these tips so that you can instantly book more evaluations and get less resistance from prospects about investing in your cash pay services. Now, keep in mind, 90% of communication is nonverbal. How you say and use these talk tracks or scripts are more important than what it is you actually say. So be mindful of your tonality, your voice inflections, and the pauses that you're using. Keep in mind that as you do this, you're not selling prospects. Don't put on your sales hat. Keep your expert, professional consultator. Okay, you're consulting them towards the outcome that they truly want. Keep that hat on. Okay, be very mindful of your tonality, anticipate the questions, don't react to them, and genuinely be excited when they ask, because you have the opportunity to shift the belief that is going to change their life forever. Stop hiding from the question and lean into it. Be excited about it, because your enthusiasm is going to pass over to your prospects. So demonstrate the same enthusiasm and excitement that you want your prospects to emulate once they understand your value. And always remember, your prospects need you far more than you need them. Working with you is going to change their life forever, whereas them choosing to work with you maybe helps you for a week, a month, maybe covers some of your ads or covers your light bill. But at the end of the day, that money is going to disappear so fast. So keep in mind, your prospects absolutely need you more than you need them. Only focus on asking questions and providing your expert opinion, then simply let the cards fall where they may. We don't want to be emotionally attached to an outcome, because our prospects are going to feel that and they're going to sense that and they're going to resist that. So when you're emotionally unattached from the outcome, prospects are going to feel safe and they're going to trust in your recommendations. And so for more training on cash physical therapy sales, I want you to go check out the Cash Physical Therapy School sales playlist, where we have dozens of other sales training on how to overcome objections, how to conduct an evaluation, how to onboard our prospects so that they show up already decided they want to work with you. Enjoy the extra content. We'll see you next time.